At the end of the first quarter, it was BYU 7, Texas Tech 0. At that point, the vibes in Provo were high. The vibes in Lubbock, a little bit nervous. Little bit nervous. The Red Raiders were not worried whatsoever. A 34-0 run to punch your ticket to being a top 4 seed in the college football playoff, to win your first ever Big 12 championship. The Red Raiders look like a national title contender. This is a team that I feel like can win a lot of different styles of football game. I know he didn't have a perfect day, but I feel like their kicker's good. You know, Baron Morton can throw the ball. Not always the most efficient, but he can create explosive plays. The receiving core's got some depth. They can run the ball really well. They outgained BYU on the ground in this one, 159-63, almost a 100-yard advantage, despite having just 11 more carries. So neither team ran it incredibly well in this game, but Texas Tech did enough. And they won this game, of course, with defense. The Red Raiders finished with under 400 yards of total offense. I think that actually is reflective. I could very easily make the case, no, their offense played much better than that. They really didn't. The defense just kept giving them short fields, and they didn't have to go very far for some of their touchdowns, or they were already in field goal range when BYU stopped them. BYU's got a legit defense. As I talked about earlier in the show, they have a playoff caliber defense. And Texas Tech put up 34 points because their ability to play complementary football and take away what a team does well is as strong as any in the country. BYU finished with exactly 200 yards of total offense in this game. And by the way, how much of that was on the first drive? I believe 90. Pretty sure the first drive of the game for Texas Tech, they conceded a 14-play, 90-yard drive. BYU executed flawlessly. They ran it. They threw it a little. Bear Bachmeier was still fully healthy. Then the Texas Tech defense locked in hard and just went full on remember the Titans. You don't allow another yard. They obviously allowed a few yards, but not many. And look, there is an element of inconsistency with high turnover games. This conversation came about after Alabama lost at home to Oklahoma. Well, they outgained them. Well, Oklahoma, they just got the turnovers. Right, because there are two different ways to look at that particular stat. Are they turnovers or are they takeaways? Because takeaways are when the defense actually makes a play and forces the offense into a mistake. A turnover is when the offense steps on a rake and whacks itself in the forehead. Texas Tech was forcing turnovers in this game. Their defensive line beat up the BYU offensive line the entire game. You look at the fumble in the second half where Bear Bachmeier's just trying to execute a pretty simple play action and they don't have time to get the fake exchange because Texas Tech's into the backfield. The investment that the Red Raiders made on the defensive side of the ball has brought into focus the old adage, defense wins championships. That's what just won them their first Big 12 championship. The highest of vibes belong to the fans in Lubbock because nothing should feel better. You are 12-1, Big 12 champions, and you haven't lost a game this season in which Baron Morton starts. And you're 1-1 with your backup quarterback for what it's worth. Darn near 2-0. And both of those games were on the road. It is hard to imagine how Texas Tech's season could be more dominant than it has been. They lost one game by 4 points on the road to an 8-win team with their backup quarterback. Every other game, they just completely dominated their opponent. Their margin of victories, I'm not going to include the non-Power 4 games. Their margin of victory goes like this: 31, 24, 24, 25, 42, 23, 22, 39, had to do some quick math there, 49, and 27. They are beating the living daylights out of everyone. And their defense, to make as many plays as they did, Jacob Rodriguez gets a bunch of the credit. You know why? He's the best linebacker in all of college football. He isn't the one that had 2 interceptions in this game. Ben Roberts was. A name that most people probably learned for the very first time. That you could have your most impactful defensive player have a great game, and you look up and say, he was like the 3rd best defender on the field in this game for Texas Tech, is a testament to what they have built on that side of the ball. Because it's nothing short of remarkable. And Joey McGuire deserves a lot of credit. And yes, Cody Campbell deserves a lot of credit, and their GM and their staff. Everyone has done an exceptional job. And you cannot look much better at this point in the season than Texas Tech does. Because the Red Raiders look like a national championship contender. And I know everyone wants to throw slides at the Big 12. And no, I don't think the Big 12 is as good as the SEC or the Big 10. Texas Tech, however, is as good as teams in the SEC or the Big 10. Ohio State or Indiana? Don't know. Because I think those 2 teams might just be a level above, really Ohio State, might just be a level above everybody else in the sport. But Texas Tech is a team that has so many different ways to win. And I feel like they can get short yardage when they need to. They can create explosives when they need to. They take away explosives. They can force turnovers. They get after the quarterback. They stop the run. Their kicker's got a big leg and has mostly been solid this year. I just look, I know he missed twice today, but I think that for Texas Tech, there is no style of game that you can force them into they can't win. That was one of the biggest differences between Texas Tech and BYU. You force BYU to be a drop-back passing team. They're not built for that. With a true freshman quarterback especially. Baron Morton on the other side could do it. He's a veteran. He's been around for a while. Bear Bachmeier can get there. He's not right now. That was evident today. And the Texas Tech defense had him in full Sam Darnold mode, seeing ghosts, circa Monday Night Football with the Jets back in, was it 2017, 18 or so? I think that the way Texas Tech is built is not just to win the Big 12, it's to go win a national championship. That's the sort of standard that is beginning to rise and percolate all throughout Lubbock, Texas. And you know what? It should. Because people like myself and Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12, had them as the number 1 team in the Big 12 coming into this season. And guess what? We took plenty of flack for that. Because it's Texas Tech, and they're not going to do it, and they're not going to do this. Well, here they are. There is nothing that Texas Tech could have done other than keep Baron Morton healthy for one more game, in which I think they would have then beaten Arizona State. There's nothing that they could have done this year that is more impressive. So I wouldn't want to face them in the playoff. They're going to have a long layoff because that's the way that this broken college football calendar works. They won't play a game until December 31st or January 1st, but boy, they feel good right now. And boy, those fans in Lubbock that have waited for so long. This feels like it was for Mike Leach, wasn't it? At some level, RIP, forever and always, Pirate. But what Mike Leach did at Texas Tech was incredible and never got to be where this team is. Joey McGuire has built Texas Tech to be the best version of their football program they have ever been. And for them to be a defensively led team while still having that offensive explosiveness is nothing short of remarkable when you consider where this program has been for most of its existence. And now it's here. And it's on top of the Big 12, and everyone's looking up. BYU's a darn good football team. They're looking up at Texas Tech. And Utah's a really good football team, and they're looking up at Texas Tech. And this is a statement sort of win. To not just get the victory, but to win by 27. And when your starter plays, you don't win by less than 20 points. That's about as impressive as you can be. So Texas Tech looks like a national title threat.